Hey guys, and welcome back to I Like Watches. Who doesn't love a top 10 video? I love watching top 10 videos. I'm not so keen on making them, if I'm completely honest. I find it quite stressful actually. It takes me ages sometimes to decide which watches to put in, well, any top 10 video. But yeah, on this occasion, I'm going to be looking at affordable dive watches. I love dive watches. Made no secret of the fact that they are my favourite style of watch. I love affordable watches as well, and of course that's pretty much what my channel centres around. So in this video I'm going to show you my current top 10 affordable divers. You might be wondering why certain watches are missing throughout this top 10, so stick around until the end because there's going to be a few watches that I'm going to explain why they weren't in my top 10. So yeah, there's probably going to be about 16 watches in this video, but anyway, you know, it's still a top 10 sort of. Enjoy, guys. So in order for these watches to appear in my top 10, they do have to meet a few criteria. The first one being they need to be affordable. I'm not going to put a figure on that because affordability means different things to different people. But to me, these 10 watches are going to be loosely affordable. The second one is they need to be available to buy at the moment, whether it be through a grey market seller, direct from a website. There's no point me showing you watches in my top 10 that are discontinued and you've got no chance of buying. They also need to have a minimum of 200 meters of water resistance. They don't necessarily need to have ISO 6425 certification, but they need to be dive style watches with at least 200 meters of water resistance. And the last one is these will all be watches that I've experienced. I may not have owned them, I might have borrowed them, some I've reviewed, some I haven't reviewed, but I'm only picking from the watches I've experienced. Right, that's enough of that. Let's crack on and show you my top 10 affordable divers. Here we go then. Sneaking into my top 10 is this Citizen Promaster titanium diver. This is a 6425 certified diver, and it's the only watch in my top 10 that I don't have physically in front of me for this video because I sent this to Alex, who is a patron, and he helped me review this watch. So I no longer have this watch, but I was very pleasantly surprised when it turned up. Okay, it turned up with a broken bezel action, which was fixed by Citizen for free. But then when I got it back, I was really pleasantly surprised. Incredibly comfortable watch. That's one of the reasons it's in my top 10. Just so comfortable. When I picked this watch up for pretty much half price, it retails for around £369. I picked it up in a sale well under £200. It has an eco drive movement, so an awesome pick up and go watch that's just super comfortable and actually looks pretty good on the wrist. So yeah, really like this watch. In at number 9 then, we've got this Chronos 2000 meter diver. Now this is version 2 of this particular watch. I actually sent version 1 over to the hydraulic press channel. Laurie put that in his water cylinder, water pressure tester, whatever you want to call it, and dunked it to the equivalent of 3,000 meters, and it came out not working, but then all of a sudden it sprung to life. And so Matt, who is a patron, created a commemorative, or designed I should say, a commemorative case back, which Maxi has now put onto version 2. But that's not the only reason why I really like this watch. I think it's just beautifully well made. It's a seriously chunky, beastly watch, and every now and then I am in the mood to wear something just incredibly thick and heavy and, you know, chunky. But yeah, it's not what I'm going to wear regularly, but it is a watch that I enjoy owning, and I am certainly appreciating the build quality and the engineering and how it looks. I mean, that dial is stunning. It's awesome. Yeah, I love this watch. In at number 8 then, we've got this Seagull Ocean Star, which might surprise a few people because I haven't actually produced any content on this watch, but I will do, I promise. I'll review it soon. I bought this watch a number of years ago for my personal collection, if you like. When it arrived, I couldn't take it off my wrist. I wore it so much. It was probably one of my most worn watches. The build quality is very good. I think it looks fantastic. I was thrilled with it. My tastes have changed a little bit since then. I do prefer my divers, especially if I'm going to wear them regularly, to be a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter, but still an incredible piece. Really pleased with it and fully deserving its place in my top 10 without a doubt. In 7th spot, we've got this 38mm vintage inspired diver by San Martin. Now the case is actually 39mm if my memory serves me right. The bezel is 38mm. Now this is the version 2. I have reviewed version 1. When it arrived, I was saying things like my favourite San Martin, their best watch ever. One of the best watches, if not the best watch you can buy on AliExpress, and at the time it absolutely was. It was a real pleasant surprise for there to be a quality sub 40mm diameter diver available on AliExpress. I was thoroughly enjoying it. I had a couple of grumbles with that watch, which they have corrected for version 2. So version 2 is even better. Now, since releasing this watch, San Martin have gone on to produce a lot of other watches that rival this and actually better it at times. So I don't necessarily think it's their best watch at the moment, but it is still an incredible watch. Yeah, loved reviewing and wearing this watch when I first got it. In 6th place, we've got this Heimdallr Monster. Now, this is version 2. I have experienced and reviewed version 1. In fact, the blue dial and the red dial. I do prefer version 1, but version 2 is still an incredible watch. This is another watch actually that I need to review on I Like Watches. I have started the review actually, so I hope to get that posted very, very soon. But yeah, I have reviewed version 1. It blew me away. The build quality, the finishing is incredible. I've experienced a couple of Submariner homages by Heimdallr. Wasn't impressed with those at all. But the difference between those and these monster homages, I mean, it's like day and night. These are incredibly well built. They look awesome. I definitely do prefer the applied indexes on version 1. They look so much like teeth, and the red dial version is incredible. But I love this frosted dial version 2, and this is the one I'm going to be reviewing soon. Now, in 5th place, I've put the Seiko SKX, which might be a slightly controversial one. Not because it's not an awesome watch. It is an awesome watch. I love it. It's iconic, isn't it? It's one of the most iconic divers ever. The reason it's controversial is because, well, this is supposed to be a list of affordable divers, and you could argue this is no longer affordable. The value for money with these watches has dropped way, way down. I've seen these going for around £600, or people asking for £600, which is just ridiculous. I don't think it represents good value for money at £600. I paid well below £200 for this about 4 years ago. So it's on the list with a caveat. If you can pick this up for decent money, and well, that's just whatever you deem to be decent, then it deserves to be in this list. So yeah, I've added it in my top 10 because it's just so iconic. And to me, it was great value for money and an affordable watch. But yeah, these days, not so much. Just missing out on a podium finish then is this Citizen Promaster. Look at it, it's awesome. I just love the way this thing looks. I picked this up recently actually for half price from John Lewis. And there is a video on I Like Watches too, which seems to be doing incredibly well. I think it's got close to 40,000 views, that video, where I show 3 watches I bought from John Lewis recently, all heavily discounted. And this was one of them, £124.50 for this watch. Look at it, it looks like a proper diver. That's what I like about this watch. The proportion of the dial is off to the case because it's smaller, because it is a proper dive watch. So tend to get these small dials being protected by sort of chunky, beefy cases. Love the colour, love the wearability. The strap when it first arrived, actually, I didn't think would be that comfortable, but it is. It really is comfortable. It is an eco drive. But it's another fantastic pick up and go diver by Citizen. Love it. Picking up the bronze medal, we've got this Chronos Submariner homage. Now this I think is version 3, which is definitely an improvement on version 1 and version 2. When it first came out, there was a few issues with it. There was a printed frame around the date window which looked a bit odd, with it being a Cyclops as well. It had high polished center links. The clasp wasn't particularly good. But they've made some changes, and this latest version is undoubtedly the best Submariner homage I have ever experienced. Some reviewers have gone on to say it's the best Submariner homage under $1,000. I don't think I've reviewed any Submariner homages costing between $500 and $1,000, so I can't back up those statements, but I can tell you it is fantastic. The build quality is incredible. The clasp is, yeah, really, really good. Really impressed with the clasp. Proportions look fantastic. Specifications incredible. It's got a PT 5000 in it. Yeah, I've got very few, if any, grumbles with this watch. It definitely deserves to be in 3rd place. Just missing out on top spot then is this MM300 homage by Proxima. I have genuinely been blown away by this watch. It's incredible. I've produced a full review. I've also compared it to a San Martin, and I've made a video for I Like Watches too showing me dismantling this watch because the case construction is very unusual. It's beautifully engineered. The whole watch actually is very well made. Not quite there when compared to the San Martin, but so close. But I just think it looks absolutely incredible. Love that coffee coloured dial with the horizontal brushing. I love the proportions that we've got going on. That sort of small dial, chunky case thing that you tend to get with proper dive watches. I just love it. I am genuinely blown away by this watch, and it fully deserves to be not just in the top 10, but in the top 3. Yeah, incredible watch. Now, the watch that I've chosen to be my #1 affordable diver for 2022 might be a slightly controversial one because it is the Seiko Mini Turtle, and you could argue that it's not that affordable when compared to some of the other watches that have already lined up in my top 10. It's fairly comparable to the SKX. I have seen them available online for under $500, around £350 at times. So in the prospects range, it certainly is one of their more affordable watches. There are actually other Seiko divers that I prefer to this watch, but I definitely don't consider those to be affordable. The SPB143J1, for example, love that watch, but I don't consider that to be affordable at all. But anyway, this is the watch I've chosen. The reasons being, well, just look at it. It looks awesome. Really cool design. Almost a circular case. Circular magnifier on the crystal. I love these little high polished facets on the inside of the lugs. I think it just looks really cool, and it wears incredibly well. I really do enjoy wearing this watch when I get the opportunity to wear it. Now, I do need to review it, and I will do that on I Like Watches in the upcoming months, so don't forget to come back and check that out, guys. But right, next thing I need to do is show you some divers that haven't featured in my top 10, because I know there are a few watches missing in this lineup, and some of you will be wondering why. Watches like the Exciton, for example. Why isn't this in my top 10? Well, if I wasn't involved in the production of this watch, I think it probably would be in my top 10. But yeah, it would just be weird to put this in there. And it's not really readily available. The Kickstarter pretty much sold out all the watches we are able to sell, so you can argue it's not actually currently available, sadly. This Seiko Paddy SPB087J1 is another watch that I would love to include in a top 10 affordable divers list, but it's not that affordable. I think the retail price is £830. That's over $1,000. You can pick it up for around £500 in the UK in the sales, but yeah, I just don't think it's that affordable, but I love it. Love this case shape. It is one of my favourite case shapes of all time, actually, and one of my favourite Seiko watches, period. Love it. But yeah, it's not in my top 10 affordable divers list anyway. Now, if Phoebus still offered this PY007C, it would be in my top 10 comfortably, but it is discontinued and very difficult to get hold of. And whenever I show this watch, it's always followed up by a few emails from patrons and viewers saying, can I buy that off you? Unfortunately, it's not for sale, guys. I'm very sorry. I'm going to keep it for now, but yeah, I love this watch. It is, out of all the divers I've seen from Phoebus, it's my favourite one, easily. Now, this diver by San Martin, I think, deserves a mention because under slightly different circumstances, it might have actually made it into my top 10. It is one of their less affordable watches. It's around $500. This has the SW200 movement in it, so this is not a particularly cheap watch, although it is comparable to the Seiko Mini Turtle, but that's not why it didn't make it into my list. It didn't make it into my list because I'm actually not that keen on how it looks. The reason I am fascinated with this watch is really just down to the build quality and the fit and finish. It is impeccable. San Martin was showing off when they made this watch. They were literally using it to go, hey guys, look at what we can do. It is incredibly well made. But yeah, it's just not that pretty, is it? And why wasn't the San Martin SN017 in the top 10? Well, because the version 1 is incredible. It is one of my favourite watches, but again, it's no longer available. Versions 2 and 3 just got a bit sort of bigger, chunkier. They came away from what made this version 1 to me so appealing anyway. It's a fairly sort of small, light Submariner homage, and they just got bigger and chunkier as the versions got released. So yeah, this version 1, I love it. Right guys, that's all the watches I've got to show you today. Please do let me know in the comments section if there are any watches missing from my top 10 affordable divers for 2022 list. Because if there are, I'll try and pick them up and review them for you guys. Right, as always, massive thank you from me to you for tuning in. I do really, really appreciate it. Take care, guys. Look after yourselves. And you'll see me again very, very soon.